I've just built a static landing page and hosted it for free with HTTPS enabled under a domain that I own. In this video, I'll be showing how I did that. However, this is a high-level overview. I will be going into some detail and showing all of the components that are pieces of this setup. But if you want to copy this solution, you might need to also read the references provided in the description. First of all, the high-level design. We need to build a website. Here we'll build a static HTML and CSS page that's ready for hosting. Then we host it in a Google Cloud storage bucket and configure this bucket for static website hosting. Then we map our domain to this bucket. After this was done, the page was hosted under my domain, but HTTP protocol raised browser security alerts when I entered the page. This wasn't really acceptable for a software consulting agency, so I needed to set up HTTPS as well. I could do that in Google Cloud, but it would require a load balancer, which costs around $20 per month. Since I didn't expect significant traffic, I could just use Cloudflare's free tier to introduce a proxy between the client's browser and my bucket where the page is. This required some additional configuration, but resulted in HTTPS working without any issues. The result is a working simple page that I pay nothing for, except for the domain cost. The content is not yet finished. We need to record the video and update some descriptions, but everything is working already, so the remaining work is non-technical. Before I go into details, I would like to make a disclaimer. Implementing this solution requires you to create a Google Cloud account. This means providing credit card information. If you mess something up with either cloud configuration or security, this might end up costing you a lot of money. Using a paid hosted solution is a much safer option if you don't feel comfortable with the topics that we'll be covering here. One more thing, I want to explain why this is possible. This is a static page. And this means that there is no backend, there are no computations, there is no need for servers. This is just a static content, static page that gets served whenever our customers want to read this page. This means that we can just use Google's object storage and don't cross the threshold where we would not be able to use the free tier. So we will be able to use the free tier of both Google Object Storage and Cloudflare. Because we have little traffic and the operations that we need are just very, very simple. In the chosen architecture, the only cost is the domain. Our domain is kentra.io, which I owned beforehand. It did cost me $40, but if you are open to using a bit more niche top-level domains, you can get one for a few dollars a year. Okay, now that's out of the way, I can move on to how to set all of this up. First, we need to build a page. To do this, I used two LLM-based applications, not because it's necessary, because I wanted to try them out and have some fun when I'm building this HTML and CSS page that otherwise would not be as exciting. And I can recommend both of them. They are Bolt and Tempo Labs. The pages I've built with their help needed some manual fixes by the end, but worked well enough for this simple use case and allowed me to iterate quickly without having experience with HTML or CSS. You just issue commands to the chatbot and see the results quickly. But however you choose to build your page, the result will always be HTML, CSS, and maybe some JavaScript code. My page is just a few files that make up a simple folded structure that I will be porting to Google Cloud storage bucket. Now that we have the page, we need to deploy it to Google Cloud. You need to create the bucket that's named exactly the same as your domain and configure this bucket for static website hosting. This is how the folder structure looks like in my bucket. To make it public, you need to grant the role storage legacy object reader to principal or users. If this is configured correctly, you should see that this is public to internet. After the objects in the bucket are publicly accessible, the next step is to configure the bucket for static website hosting. Here you point to the index.html file in your bucket that will be the page that opens when a user enters the address of your domain in their search bar. Once this is done, you should be able to load your index.html file in an incognito browser window. This means that your bucket is publicly accessible, and now you could set up DNS if you wanted to and get the web page working under HTTP protocol. But since we need HTTPS, we'll need to set up Cloudflare. You need to create an account in Cloudflare and create a domain that you want to manage. This is the domain you have purchased and want to use. You'll need to prove ownership of the domain. You do it by logging into your domain registrar and configuring it to use Cloudflare's name servers. My domain registrar is Namecheap, but whatever is yours, you need to point to Cloudflare's name servers. Once this is done and the DNS entry is propagated globally, which might take a short while, you'll get an email telling you now you can configure this domain in Cloudflare. In Cloudflare, I recommend enabling developer mode whenever you're working on things. This disables cache for 3 hours, which makes your life much easier. It will automatically toggle off after 3 hours. In Cloudflare, you'll need to add a CNAME record that will point to Google storage. Ignore all of the other records, they are just email configuration. The CNAME record is the important one. At this stage, you should be able to load the page using HTTP protocol after the DNS has propagated. This will take a while. While you are waiting for this, you can use NSLookup to check what's the status. And if I remember correctly, it took about 1 hour when I was setting this up before the entries were propagated correctly. This is the healthy situation where this has finished. The last step is configuring HTTPS. In the description, you can find a link to a detailed instruction, but the required settings are encryption mode flexible, and in the Edge certificates page, you will need to choose always use HTTPS. This should enable HTTPS, and now when you type your domain in your search bar, you should see no alerts. This should be working. If you have questions or feedback about this process, leave a comment. I'll do my best to reply quickly. If you've reached the end, it might be a good time to introduce myself. My name is Jan Siekierski, and in this channel I'm documenting the process of setting up software consulting business. If this is the type of content that you would be interested in, I would like to invite you to subscribe. Thank you for your time and good luck with your website.